Obviously, there's been a lot of personal animosity between these two going back to their time together in cabinet. But Robert, I'm wondering what a comment like this and a shot like this does to Bennett's credibility on Indigenous issues, especially given the timing.
Well, I think it's a sad situation. You know, it's getting a little bit more and more absurd. But you know, Carolyn, I both know Carolyn and Jody. They're both, you know, fine individuals. You know, I know there's a lot of animosity from, you know, what happened when Jody was expelled from the party. But Carolyn is actually a really great person. She works tirelessly for and trying to help and advance Indigenous issues. You know, when I was the chair of the Indigenous caucus, you know, she was always available to meet and discuss and talk. And Jody was also the same way. So, you know, it's sad that it's come to this. I just hope that people can take maybe a deep breath and somehow they can repair their relationship into the future. It's, you know, it's really too bad that you know, it came to that. But at the end of the day, politics is politics. And, you know, they're talking about pensions, and maybe it's you know, someone might thought it was a funny joke, but other people don't take it as a joke. And you should be very, very careful about who you're talking to in politics, and, you know, filter your thoughts at least twice or three times before you even speak or even tweet or text anyone.
Andrew, she may not be going anywhere, but do you think she should be going somewhere? I mean, Charlie Angus has called for her to go, and as James points out, like Bev Oda suffered a big price for, you know, a very expensive glass of orange juice. But, you know, given the importance of credibility in that role, I mean, is this something Carolyn Bennett survives long term, do you think?
Well, the Bev Oda story is a lot more than an expensive glass of orange juice. It has to do with a lot about how she conducted herself generally in the cabinet. I don't think that anybody believes that Carolyn Bennett is a racist or is misogynist as she's being accused of. But it was petty and it was derisive and it was stupid to put something like that to Wilson-Raybould, especially today. Now, that said, I'm not sure that it's much better for Wilson-Raybould to now put herself in the center of this story. I mean, this is a day when we should be talking about those people who are very directly impacted and what needs to happen next in terms of moving that forward. This is a massive distraction. Bennett's a seasoned politician. She should know better. I'm sure she knows better. And I'm sure she, you know, understands what the problem was there. But this does seem to be more about personal animosity and two politicians that are putting themselves in the middle of the story rather than focusing on the issue that they've been elected to deal with, which is how to move the country forward on these issues.
Well, this rancor between the two of them goes all the way back to the days in the cabinet. I mean, they spent 4 years together in cabinet. Yep. We have to remember that Minister Bennett spent almost a decade and a half trying to become the face of the Indigenous affairs within the Liberal Party. She went to every single news report, spoke out on issues, and then Jody Wilson-Raybould comes in as a hand-picked candidate. She's the daughter of Bill Wilson, huge Indigenous advocate, former candidate for national chief. And she became the de facto Minister of Indigenous Affairs, even though Carolyn Bennett was within that position. And the rancor between them in cabinet meetings is legendary. People talk about it. People tell stories of how Minister Bennett would frequently undermine Wilson-Raybould within the cabinet. It tells you a lot about, it wasn't just SNC-Lavalin that led Wilson-Raybould to a rancor within the Liberal Party, but it was also that relationship. And we saw a tiny little glimpse of it. But you couldn't pick a more worse timing for Minister Bennett to do this, especially considering the events of this week.